Because we'll probably that night take it down, because we keep it at the Missourian, where you're gonna drop off the trailer. They let us store the sled in
Probably
there.
afternoon tomorrow.
Okay.
Where's it? Which,
The big dock
Inside?
door on Main Street.
oh, really?
It's great. That's where the Christmas tree was.
Affectionately known as the dungeon.
Oh, it's amazing what's in there.
There's a lot, well,
Whoa.
that's where they used to print the paper.
Wow, things have moved on.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I think we'll call the meeting to order. The Washington Historic Preservation Commission meeting on November 19th, 2018 is called to order. We have the roll call, please.
Carolyn Witt,
Here.
Steve Struberg, Brian Bogue, Rick Hopp, Danielle Grotwheel,
Here.
Jamie Holtmeyer,
Here.
Andrew Clary, Bridget Kelch, Joe Holtmeyer,
Here.
Mark Hydrich, Susan Waterman, Sal Maniaci,
Here.
Tom Melvin.
You'd all join me for the pledge, please. I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I hope everybody perused the minutes from the last meeting. Now, if we don't have a quorum, can we just tentatively do stuff and,
Right, well, I mean, the minutes will have to go in January, but all four new business items have actually been issued via email. So those are just updates.
excellent, excellent. Well, then, let's,
Well, I guess technically the bike ramp, we were still waiting on one more, but the building permit was issued because we couldn't wait any longer.
Yeah, they've already started. I had 3 yeses. I needed 1 more to make it official, so if anyone would like to okay that.
I'll okay that if I haven't.
Which one is this?
the
That's,
bike-
Oh.
the bike ramp there, council approved it with, they did the same conditions that were put on John G's beer deck, just the right of way, if there's any utilities and if there's any insurance issues, but.
okay, well, we can just skip the minutes then, and we'll approve them at the next meeting. And the good news is we don't meet in December, so that's, hello?
Hi, Susan.
Certificate of review for Gary Lucy's sign on the back of the building, that's already been approved?
Yes.
Excellent. I don't think there were any negatives about that, there was no
No,
comment.
we didn't have any real, just a couple questions on the material, and it went through okay.
Right, and certificate of review, 12325 Main Street, the
That's
awning.
one. We're still waiting on a few things. He doesn't want to start it until spring, but everyone wanted a color palette and the exact type of awning, like a brochure from the company.
Well, it obviously needed work.
Yeah,
I mean,
he did ask for one, but they haven't given it to him yet. He's still kind of in the bid process, so he's trying to get us more info, so.
That's
we'll
great,
check in
that's
on that a
great.
little later.
At least he's, making an effort and letting us know, that's good.
He's pretty district-minded. That's Tom Rombach.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's good. Certificate of review, 116 West Front, the bike ramp, and we
I just got
got
my
a,
last one,
we
so
got our
it's
last,
issued.
thank you, Jamie. See how important it is that you're here? This is great.
And then the historic landmark designation, those will go to council the second meeting in December. There will be 2 meetings, so verified that this morning.
Oh, there is going to be a second meeting. Okay, so it'll be at that meeting.
Because we have
Because I
P&Z
will
and
try
stuff.
and be there if anybody.
I will make sure that I'm there this time,
It was
because I
awkward.
totally messed up for P and Z.
Well, it was awkward because I was understanding that this definitely put a delay on raising a building. And Mark
does.
Piontek seemed to think that it was no big deal, that, it didn't make a big difference. And
That's why we put the wording
the way we
in the
did it.
landmark. That's why we did it the way we
Yeah,
did
I know,
it.
that didn't come up the first time. I was in New York, so I don't know why.
Right.
I wouldn't have been
brought
able
up,
to
but-
answer that part
And
anyway.
I
but-
felt bad because he was putting me on the spot, and I'm not going to argue with a multi-million-dollar an hour.
Okay, I
lawyer.
would have, but I wouldn't have been able to really stand on anything,
It
but
just-
that's the
way
verbiage
code-
of the ordinance.
The
of
way I
the code.
interpreted
Oh,
the
that
code
was
is that
the
that's
way
the whole
I
point.
interpreted
That's the whole
it
point
as
of
well.
it.
Yeah, because why would we do it if we couldn't?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a lot of work for nothing if you don't get your
And
caveats
I
that you
I
want.
don't have well, I'm like 99% positive the specifically says prohibit demolition.
Well, I wondered if maybe he didn't have an updated,
Well, I don't think that I don't think that just being made a local landmark prohibits demolition, but you can put that.
No, but that's one of the options.
But the things that we express, that the Historic Washington Foundation expressed that they wanted on there, it doesn't automatically come with
Right.
that, but the
No,
property
what I'm
owners
saying
asked
is the
for it.
code
Yeah.
lists things you can add to the designated ordinance, and I'll pull it up. I'm pretty sure that's one of them. But regardless, that'll be, we'll pass it the same way we did the last time, and
Right,
Perhaps he didn't realize that the Historic Washington Foundation had requested that.
yes.
He may have just not
Yeah.
understood that that's what they wanted.
well, that wouldn't matter.
And Samantha asked, well, what if it
Well, I know,
sells
I need
and
to have
has
the
a
code
new
reads,
owner,
though.
and the new owner?
I wrote that.
They can't do it.
I
Yeah,
said,
no, that's all right.
I wasn't,
Yeah.
I did not think they could, but
that.
he was really putting me on the spot, so I just kind of backed off.
I think he's wrong, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Sal is the code guru.
That's good. I rely on you.
It doesn't matter if I'm a code guru at the city attorney interprets it differently. I think that's the end of the road.
Well, his interpretation is not always
Well,
invalid.
so that would be my issue, if that's how he's going to interpret it.
Why-
Well, it'll be.
We just need
it'll be-
clarification.
It'll be
That's-
clarified
At the council meeting.
meeting, yes.
Good,
Well, he's not really the final. I mean, the final would be the council, right?
right,
No, not according to him.
yeah. You were here.
Yes, ma'am.
I was on the spot there.
Yes, you were.
Yeah, okay, I would
According to
not,
him, we're not. I was like, really?
Who's him?
that the council is not the end, the council doesn't have the final say-so, that the city attorney does? Is that what he was
You
implying or
still
saying?
had to look it
or-
up.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll,
You told us we don't have.
that was my mother's favorite comment.
I can
We'll
go home
see.
now.
Yeah,
Oh.
headed to the house.
But I think the P and Z was impressed by all the research that went into those designations, because they all had a copy of the packet, and an awful lot of research went into that.
Do you know that I was worried that I didn't have enough information in those?
It was great.
This is life as me.
Yeah. Well, it was
There was
good.
so much information in there that I was leaning towards Carolyn going,
What is?
what?
Yeah, he
did
likes
that?
sitting next to me at the P and Z meeting. Oh, gee. We get into trouble. They glare at us.
They do. They do.
Okay, so that's exciting that those are moving on. And I did mention that the difficulty involved in doing this is because, just because you live in an old house doesn't mean you necessarily have a historic landmark designation. You could.
You definitely could.
Pursue it. But it's not just, there's a lot involved, which the public wouldn't have seen because they don't see that packet of.
Right. So, yeah, I think, and that's something that we'll take it as a case-by-case basis, I'm sure, but to determine, not every structure within the city of
there is a
Washington
public
that
hearing.
reaches a certain age is a historic local
Yeah,
landmark.
I literally pulled it up right.
Can you give a copy of all that
but-
research to Mark?
Mark
To have
who?
it- Mark Hoffman? To
Do you have a
on
code book down
file?
here?
No, but I can.
Well, I don't think I had the first two, but I've got those three, so,
Oh, I have them on the computer. I have to go to the museum tomorrow anyway. I'll just print them out and leave them with
because I
him.
just thought it'd be good to have
Makes sense.
two, you know.
Like, half that information came from him, but,
I figured that, but if he has that in a file, that if somebody has any interest in those three.
yeah, he keeps files on every address, so,
Yes, so that's,
well, not every address, but you know what I'm
right,
trying to say.
the big stuff. Okay,
Yeah, I mean, it clearly says in here, and again, this is what he could be interpreting differently, but upon designation, the landmark or historic preservation design area, so this is for going an area or a landmark, shall receive the supplemental classification H for historic preservation design area, and designated ordinance shall prescribe the significant exterior architectural features, the types of construction, alteration, demolition, and removal other than those required, a building or demolition permit that should be reviewed for review, the design guidelines including minimum maintenance standards, and then it goes through special uses and zoning, but it says for demolition.
Yeah.
So,
okay, well,
but
thank
you're right, I mean, what's the point of it, is you can't,
right.
Right, I mean,
your
because,
minimum.
I mean, it's not extremely complicated, but it does take quite a bit of time.
I use this.
So I think most people are minded that if they're going to pursue this type of designation, they're looking for that prohibition on demolition.
Right,
So,
okay.
Right.
But we shall see at the
Right.
next council, at the December,
Right, that will
the
be
second December,
I'm sorry.
The
you have
council meeting
second
on the
December
second
council meeting.
Monday.
Sometimes you do and sometimes you don't.
Right, sometimes.
It'll be the second Monday,
or third Monday.
second meeting, third Monday in December. Sorry.
I
We
had a
should
party
organize
one
it just a
night.
little bit more.
Was
If
he
they
going
told me
to
we
look
wouldn't have a
into
meeting,
how it could
they
be
said
I gotta
worded
cancel the party
so that
and I'm
it
leaving.
did?
We never have one.
Yeah,
Carolyn,
but I guess
Mark,
they had something come up that they need
was
to-
he gonna look into it, how it could be worded to prohibit demolition? He just
no.
said we were
He
wrong.
was just being, this is,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, so he was just saying we were
Being a
wrong.
lawyer.
right.
Right.
If you do mandatory review, mandatory compliance, doesn't that cover
these are on.
demolition?
Right.
Right.
It's true.
And, you know, maybe he didn't read the whole thing and
Yeah, I
maybe,
don't
because
know.
it's on the very last, it's like the only thing on the very last page.
Well, and he's sitting up here scrolling through his Facebook, or his,
Not his Facebook, you know,
His
he's
thing.
reading it on his tablet.
his thing,
Yeah.
right. And,
He's not scrolling through Facebook.
and it's whatever, and, well, he could have been, and.
But he was
and,
reading it off of his
yeah, and
tablet as
so-
opposed to the physical copy.
Right, right, so, well, we'll get him. Okay, old business. Shoe factory, we're moving along, aren't we?
Phase 3, the contract was approved last Monday, so we've already submitted, I think, the first 4 milestones. So it's moving along, it has
was
to be
fast.
completed. Yeah, the first 4 we submitted all 4 at once, I think.
That was number 3, submitting the contract was number 3. Number 4, I think they're supposed to contact you. SHPO's supposed to contact, and then go over some other dates.
Oh, we did that.
You did that.
Yeah.
already.
So yeah, all 4 we officially got the schedule finalized. Has to be done before the end of August.
Great.
So then we need to start talking about if we want to do something next year, because we have to take a year off from this
Before we can
district.
nominate it, yeah, and do you know whenever, I have to look whenever preliminary applications are due, but,
Did everyone get the
June.
email about the new grant funds for 2019?
yeah, that's what I was talking about. I'd have to look at the date on there.
June or January, I don't remember. I know those are very far apart. I think it's June.
I'll look, I mean, I don't have anything I need to apply for right now.
Yeah,
Well, I would like to just put this up for consideration and we can all, you know, think about it in our spare time until January. I'm thinking we should start thinking about some sort of historic district for Basora. So Basora is, like Krog Park was the Basora City Cemetery.
Okay, yeah, I agree. I think we'll have to starting to think we need to do some internal, between us, internal surveying as much as we can, because if we can go through and visually see that most of the structures are not contributing, it's just a waste of money.
Right.
Like,
There are
I'm
only certain
not gonna lie.
sections of Basora that are really intact.
Phase 1 of the historic shoe factory was, like, none of it was contributing. And so, I mean, I understand you had to get the whole district in
Yeah.
before it to
Right.
work, but,
yeah.
so. And you look at the reports, you're like, yeah, I could have told you that, but we're paying this person to do it.
Right, so like Joanne Raditic, where her house is, that's Basora.
Yeah.
And she's got an individually nominated property that, well, she did her own paperwork for because she knows how to do it. That area is very intact. The closer you get to the river, the more intact it is. We also need to consider resurveying our existing districts because they want you to do them like every 10 years. And none of our districts have ever been resurveyed for changes, things that were contributing that have become not contributing, or that were not contributing that are now contributing. So that, I think the latter part of that is more relevant because that puts more people in a position of being able to utilize tax credits if they're contributing now, but they weren't in the right age range when it was, because those were all first surveyed in the late 80s, early 90s. So,
Well, I'll look at when the deadline is, and I'll talk to you about what we want to apply for next. Can't hurt to just ask
Right.
for money.
right? They'll be excited if we ask for a resurvey. They'll be very excited about that.
Okay. Is there anything for anybody contribute to education?
Just keep in mind, we do have well, it's be covered in conferences, but to cover your education for the year, the March national conference is in Seattle, which I know seems far away, but we do have, every year we budget some funds for training, so just keep that in mind.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in that. It's kind of the wrong time of year for curb appeal and creating new history, because everything's sometimes covered in snow. So this really isn't a good time for pictures. We'll start up again. You did a great job.
Yes,
Thank
you
you for your
did.
help.
It was
No,
a
you
good,
did.
it was a good team effort.
No, we did.
It was a good team effort. I noticed under number 5, Jasper House, I noticed there is work going on there.
Yeah,
That's exciting.
he's pretty much got it gutted. I went through it the other day. There's some pretty cool archways in the basement.
Whoa,
He said he's gonna. do some
surprise,
stuff, so.
yeah.
Yeah, he's coming
Well,
along.
it was good to see something going on, so that's good.
And I'll have to say, I'm glad that Sully got it. He does great with the other historic properties that he works on,
It's been
so,
added on to a couple times.
yes, yes.
You can tell.
It was more rectangular. It started off square, and then it went rectangular, and then it went a bigger square. So,
Yeah.
But it's good to see positive things going on. Budget report, I don't think we've had any changes from previously. Information plaques, did you,
I didn't do my job,
that's all right. That's
but I am going to the museum tomorrow, so,
because there may be some lying there, ready to go, maybe,
yes, I think there are.
which is good.
I think there are at least 3. And I could probably whip up a 4th one pretty quickly
Right, right.
from an individually nominated or some other
Yes,
commercial property
yes.
that I have most of the information on.
Yeah,
Oh, heck, I could do the post, we could do the post office or the cabin. Neither one of those have an informational plaque,
yeah, there you go, and you've got all kinds of information.
so.
Conferences, I think Jamie contacted everybody, if you had been to anything, and you went, no? Sal, did you go to Kansas City? last
Yes.
March?
Yep.
I was going to say, I thought you were there. That was-
So remind me what our educational requirements are.
Everyone that's on the commission has to go to one training event a year.
So it's not a number of hours, it's go and attend a training.
Yes.
Whether it's a 1-day or a 3-day doesn't really matter. Okay.
And there are videos, video conference, or what do you call those?
Webinars.
Webinars. That's
You have to get webinars approved by the SHPO unless they come directly from the SHPO.
Which
they
I haven't gotten anything from them on
They
the
haven't
webinar.
done new webinars in like a
a
million
long
years.
time. Yeah.
So, but they usually approve those unless they have something to do with the cemetery. And then they want you to also go and like do work.
Right, right. I think there are some of us that are looking to go to
I'm going to
conference
Seattle.
in Seattle.
Yeah, well, there's a cheap registration right now, so,
Is it
Right.
open?
Well,
November 1.
I'm hoping, it sounded like it was for mayors and high city officials. And
Well, I
it's
signed
for-
myself
It's
up as
for
a
any
high city official.
Good.
Not excludes us.
Okay, that includes,
It does say elected officials and senior city officials, but it did not ask for any type of proof. I called myself a senior city official
You
because it
are.
got me down to $175 as opposed to $500.
excellent.
Because I thought Bridget had said that it was
I hope-
municipal representatives is
I
what
hope
she had
we
said.
would include, we would be,
We put in city of Washington and then we put in downtown's 4-digit code and then they said, thank you, and that was it. It ended up being, I did end up adding 2 of the educational tours, so I think total it was like $260 for,
That's great.
with the dinner on the last day. Like that is way cheaper than even when it was in Kansas City.
Yeah.
oh, yeah, it was, even with volunteering, it was high.
I mean, it's an expensive conference. It's worth it for the, even at its regular price, it's totally worth it for the amount of trainings you have.
But it's
o-
great when you
options.
can get
It's
a bargain.
cheaper
Yeah.
is always
But
good.
compared to anything I go for economic development, $260 is
Yes.
pennies.
Okay, and I don't think there's anything on the Calvin. There was nothing at core on the Calvin, so I'm assuming nothing.
Nope, they
I mean,
fixed their issue.
realistically, we're never going to be able to do anything about it, right?
No, no.
I
I
mean,
went to that
No,
workshop.
not realistically. I mean, if we were to do any type of condemnation or eminent domain, I mean, then we would have to pay to fix it.
absolutely. We had
Or find someone
the
who
thing I
is
went
willing
to
pay to fix
at
it?
Cape Girardeau last week was on abandoned and neglected type vacant properties. And the general consensus was you need to use the carrot, not the stick, if you're gonna, but, you know, when you're dealing with somebody that's won't deal,
The carrot has been tried very
the
many times.
carrot has tried many times, right? So I think it's kind
Because
of.
we went to, when Jill was still here, we went to camp training, and there was a guy, he was from South Carolina. Now, South Carolina has some very, very strict rules when it comes to preservation, and according to him, everyone has the rule that your police department can seize a dangerous property without eminent domain and take possession of it. I'm like,
Whoa,
that doesn't sound right.
no,
But
It's like Hitler rule.
Yeah, I don't think that's right.
like, I don't think that I would want to be the one who says, let's do that, because that's awful,
yes.
you know, and everyone hates the two words eminent domain, but, I mean, here's my issue with it. A, does it stink that it's vacant, nothing's being done with it? Yes. But we are quickly approaching the point where that building is going to start to come to critical mass. And if it goes down, it's not just going to take out itself. It's not going to collapse in a
take out the
vacuum. We
block.
learned that on Main Street.
Yes,
It's going to go into the side of Hartbauer's. It's going to go into, you know,
The autos.
Fricky building.
Right.
And it's going to go into the Washington Community Arts Center.
yeah.
You know, how would we know, how would the city know if it was ever approaching that close to being in danger of collapsing? How would you ever?
We talked about that. It's at that point, it's a civil issue. It'd be up to the neighbors to report to their insurance company.
Yeah, but so often, they can't do anything.
Well, 'cause I know-
Something happens.
Brian Raderman reports them constantly because, well, stuff flies off their roof all the time
Yeah,
and
and
damages his building.
And we cited them for that, and they fixed it, so. Recently.
Well,
You can't do much.
no, no.
It's very unfortunate.
Other business, recent code changes.
That's been on there for like 4 months.
Okay.
Well, but Jamie had to leave before you got to talk about it, and then she wasn't here last time.
You were waiting on me? Sorry.
What you wanted to say. If you don't have anything, we could just.
Oh, yeah, strike it off. I don't even remember.
It was something to do with the signs that we ended up, I think that was even before Elijah's, because then we.
Yeah, I think it had to do with Elijah's.
Backlit?
But it all worked out, whatever.
Came to a compromise.
The only other thing I bring up, one, our meeting in January, we have to have a quorum because it is our annual public hearing for the shoe factory. So I don't know why I'm telling you guys, because you guys are here. But by SHPO standards, we're only required to meet 4 times a year, and I'm not saying we should go down to that, because I think we need to have, some reports on stuff, and I don't want to ever hold off building permits without issuing a design certificate. But I'm just throwing it out there if we could do maybe as needed when there's not new business.
Yeah, because this is very distressing when you have very few people
Yeah,
come.
I don't care, because I'm here anyway for council.
Right.
So,
Well, that's
you guys
always-
want to continue to meet.
That's always worked out well,
but-
particularly for our liaisons, that when it's the same night,
Makes long night.
But also.
And I wouldn't want to
it
go down to
actually
just like a
won't be
quarterly
the
meeting.
21st.
What was that?
It won't be the 21st because that's President's Day.
Oh, it'll be Tuesday. Yeah, that's right.
Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther.
Martin Luther King. So it will be Tuesday, the 22nd.
Okay, we'll get that changed.
So would you propose like bi-monthly?
Well, I mean, just thinking about it when I was walking here, I was thinking, keep it, this slot scheduled, keep it.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you could put together a little blurb and remind them of the new date, we're not meeting in December, we'll meet on Tuesday in January, that we have important stuff that needs to be done. And we would really appreciate it if they would make a concerted effort, because we will also discuss how often to meet, because we're having issues with having a non-quorum meeting is really not good.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm happy discussing it with full quorum. My suggestion was going to be we keep it at the same scheduled time with the same time slot reserved for this room, and then if we don't have anything in, but when the agenda goes out, we say we don't have anything in.
I think that would be really good, but if you could just, and I'll try and contact them all myself and say that, you know, really, that date, if they could possibly be here, because important things will be discussed, not just the shoe factory, but if we
You
discuss,
just call them and say, you have to be there in
this is your
January."
mother, and I'm calling to tell you you will be there. I try and avoid that tone of voice, but
Hey, Mom.
I can pull that card.
I mean, I'm thinking that, you know, if and until we get to that point where we start getting some mandatory compliance,
Exactly. Then we have an actual event.
You know, I did.
Something that we actually can say, no, you can't, or,
right?
which is amazing. I can't imagine being able to do that.
Well, and I don't, the reason I don't want to just go to, you know, every other month or anything is because I like that I mean, a lot of these are done in email, and these two that are on here are simple, but more times than not, you know, the applicant will come and be able to answer questions or show us something. And I
Which
wanna
is
be able to
good.
keep that
And we should have
precedent.
that flexibility that if somebody, we need to get here and listen to them and see them.
And I
Giving
think-
comments doesn't do anything if you can't do it face to face.
Yes.
And I also think that even beyond getting to, with these certificates of review, this commission should be available to anyone who wants to come and get our advice.
Right.
I mean, we should be able to not just issue this certificate. They should know
Yeah,
that they
see it
can
as a
come to
resource.
us.
Yeah, we are a resource.
They can come to us prior to starting anything, and that we can help them through that process, which is, is not something that I think that
Right.
our
And
citizens
if we ever
know.
send you anything, just because we send it to you doesn't mean we have to issue it via email. If you look at it and there's too much going on, you can say, this needs to be discussed at a meeting.
Right, right.
And maybe ask the people that are on the board, are you really interested in being here?
Exactly.
Not,
Exactly. Or if they have
Somebody else will.
conflicts, I know, you know, those things come, motherhood can be, and appreciate the fact you're here. This is great. Though it was fun when you brought Penny, that was fun.
Yes.
But you're right. You know, we need, because you want to have people that have have a vested interest and want to be here.
And
And
this isn't the only board that we need to address that with.
there are others, yes, I'm sure. And we're so grateful that people are willing to give of their time, because it is a kind of a thankless, I mean, other than just us telling you how thankful we are, but I don't think, we all know that the city could not run, the city, whether it's the chamber, the downtown, the city government, you cannot survive without the volunteers, people willing to put their time out there. And a lot of people don't even know that things are available, you know, that they may have an interest and they've never thought about doing this. So, you know, if we need to,
If we're gonna, I mean, many of the citizens of Washington that don't happen to reside in the downtown area don't even know that, I mean, they might have seen us listed on the city website, but they don't necessarily know. And we generally focus on downtown, which is why I bring up Basora, because downtown is not the only place where we
Yes.
have historic buildings. So if you don't live downtown and you have a historic building or a home, and you want advice because you want to keep it in its era, that's what we're here for as well. Not just to, oh, this problem came up, how are we going to solve it? I think we would much prefer to be proactive
yes,
in helping people
that would be good.
keep up with their properties and achieve what they want with their properties.
Right. Is there any other business?
That's it.
Okay.
I guess we don't motion or anything because we can't vote.
Yeah, I guess we can't. Well, you two can do that.
I'd like to motion we adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that.
There's a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving and a good Christmas.
Did it at a Parks meeting one night, I said,
How are you feeling?
Better. I was not feeling well last month, but I'm better now.
Was that the same timing?